All right, so today we got to talk more about Thomas Sowell quotes. And today he says the first lesson of economics is scarcity. There is never enough of anything to fully satisfy all those who want it. First lesson of politics is to disregard the first lesson of economics. Now, again, that is the problem when it comes to politics and economics nowadays, is that most people, even a lot of people on the right, completely disregard this lesson, basically, and that, again, the first rule is scarcity. What does that mean? That resources are finite. So that is the problem when it comes to this kind of stuff, is that resources are finite. And again, where does the problem come up? Well, the problem comes up is that you have a very large percent of the population that believes that we should be able to give away, and it is a good thing to do, and the only realistic thing to do is just give away unlimited stuff, namely healthcare. We have a system in Canada that theoretically gives away unlimited amounts, although the problem is that a lot of it, technically, it isn't unlimited, but in theory, as long as there's enough of it to go around, then it is unlimited. So again, that is the problem with Canadian healthcare too, is people think, oh, you go and you can get it covered. Well, that's true, but it's also misleading in that a lot of our healthcare can take really long to get done. I mean, you have people on some of these surgery wait lists for a year or two. You have some people waiting upwards of a year to get MRIs, to see specialists, all this kind of stuff. So again, that is the problem when it comes to giving away stuff for free, is that, or technically free, I mean, it's not actually free, but in a way it is that it's not going to be as good a quality. And it's not going to be as good a quality because you don't get what you pay for. That's the problem with it. And I mean, they'll bring up all the other stuff about, oh, you hate the poor, this, that, and the other, that garbage. Well, the reality is that, again, for the vast majority of people, um, they would easily be able to afford it. So again, that is the problem. And again, for the simple reason too that the price of healthcare would go down if if it was more privatized. Why? Because, well, I mean, the price for most people would just need basic coverage, right? And that's the problem nowadays, is that you're basically paying for everything. And that's one of the many. No, healthcare is a different thing in that I would be, even though it's still not what I agree with, I think there's a lot of people that would be open to a more of a system to where, if you break your arm or you need stitches, yeah, you can get it covered. But if you need a surgery or something like that, then you got to pay out of pocket or from insurance or whatever, if your work has it, whatever. I think that would be a better system. I mean, an even better system would be a privatized system. But again, I don't know if you're going to convince the general public of that without having a stepping stone. But again, that is a different thing in and of itself too. I mean, there's the other thing that the left genuinely believes too, is that, again, most people won't be honest about it, but you can't really believe in these leftist economic systems without believing that if there's ever a shortage of anything, you can just print more money to get enough, right? And that's what they've, and there's been a lot of people that have been honest about this. That they literally say, well, why not just give people more money? That's what they say, and it's rather insane to think about, but that's what these people believe. And they believe it because they have never been told the truth. They've never actually been educated on the topic. They've been taught about, the fantasy world. I mean, it's not even Keynesian. That's the other thing about the economics that most people are taught these days is Keynesian economics. Now, the problem with that is that what we do is not Keynesian, but they tell you it is. And I mean, the first way that you can tell that, I mean, it's even further. Um, in that, under Keynesianism, or Keynesian, however you want to pronounce it, um, you don't run deficits all the time. You only run deficits during times of recession. But what does pretty much every major country in the world do? They run deficits, good times, bad times, middle times, it doesn't matter. And that's the problem, is that, I mean, Keynesian, even though it's not the best economic system even in the slightest, it still would be better than what we're doing. And again, this is why I think one of the biggest policy positions that would fix any country, Canada, the States, whatever for that matter, would be forcing the government to run balanced budgets or even a slight surplus. So in case of recession, you can dip into that fund. Either way, I would be fine with either one. Either just flat out no deficits no matter what, or maybe you run slight surpluses, and then whenever the economy contracts X percent, you can use X percent of said reserves. So that would be something that would, I think, would be a lot better. I think that, again, that would be probably the best if you could do one thing, as a government, that would probably be the best one, because there's a lot of individual policies that I would really like to change, but switching that would fix a lot of the other policies, and that it would prevent governments from getting elected by just buying votes, which is what most leftist governments especially do. I mean, it would prevent them from having unlimited mass immigration. It would prevent them from having massively high, way more amount of government and public sector workers than you need. It would force people to live within their means, and that is not unrealistic in any way, shape, or form. Because what happens if you start living not beyond your means is that people get used to it. They come to expect that, and which ends up happening is that any politician who on either side who proposes clawing that back will never get elected, and that's why things are going to get pretty ugly going forward. I believe in North America is that no politician is going to be able to get elected by wanting to cut spending in any way, in any major way, and that's going to cause a lot of pain and suffering, because the only way to get out of the mess that we're in right now is to cut spending. Again, that's the only option. I mean, a lot of these people think, oh, tax the rich. Well, yeah, tax the rich it'll help for a little bit, but then what happens is you tax all their wealth away, and a lot of them just flat out leave too. I mean, look at California too. If that theory works so good, then why are so many businesses leaving California? Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, namely. I mean, those are two. I mean, Elon Musk employs probably what 10,000 people. Joe Rogan doesn't employ a lot of people, but he makes a lot of money. That's a lot of tax revenue. So again, that's just that those are obviously anecdotal examples, but you could give anecdotal example after anecdotal example that we know that people don't want to go in these areas. Again, it sounds good in theory, but it doesn't work in reality. So, um, anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to bring up. And again, the main thing being is that you can't just give away stuff, quote unquote, for free. It's just not going to work long term, for many reasons, because it defies the laws of economics mainly. But anyway, I'm going to leave the video there. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the links in the description. Make sure you follow me in those other platforms, and obviously stay tuned for more.